Yes, welcome back, everybody. Grit and Grace with Jennifer and Meredith. And right before the break, when I tried to go out, our engineer, aka me at this time, was just messing with the buttons. So you may have heard a promo repeat of the show, but nothing wrong with that, right? Just the extra love to ourselves and frankly to the station. You're listening to Lone Star Community Radio, Conroe's FM 104.5 and 106.1. You can also catch us on irlonestar.com and the IR Lone Star app, right? Jen, it was IR Lone Star.
No, Lone Star Internet Radio.
Thank you. Yeah, and as you can tell, we're a great
Lone
team.
Star, 2 words.
Lone Star, thank you. Yeah, she
Yes.
keeps me in check, and she definitely helps me out because she's our social media guru, amongst other things. But yeah, welcome back. We've got so much going on this hour because we've got San Jacinto River Authority.
Yes.
We've got Brett and Rhonda with us. Welcome, you two.
Good morning.
Yes, we are so excited to have you with us. And I know a lot of our listeners heard us with the top 3, and I'm sure, Brett, thank you so much again for adding, contributing.
Sorry, I didn't know you could hear me.
No, that was wonderful. Why don't you grab that mic a little closer to you, sir? Yeah, just move it on over. We are so excited to have y'all here because I was telling Jen, we were looking for some people that were really going to be experts on the lake, and Jen immediately was like, we know Brett and the team there at San Jacinto River Authority, and we certainly are kind of, I'm a little privy, not necessarily about all the organization. I just know when any weather's not going right or anything like that, Brett's on it, and where's Brett at church? He's not here because he's having to make sure the weather, everything's fine at the dam, and it's some kind of mystery dam protector that I don't know about, right? So I can't wait to
Damn
hear.
ninja.
Hashtag damn ninja. That is
right.
fantastic.
Yes.
No, no, so it's just so great that y'all are able to join us. Thank you, too, for coming in, especially
pleasure.
early on a Saturday morning. I'm so glad y'all enjoy coffee because I was like, I don't know to help. That's my incentive. I'm all, coffee?
You knew my butt.
Yes, thank you for having us.
Well, yeah, so as kind of a newbie to the community, it gives me a great opportunity to kind of represent those that may not just be familiar with San Jacinto River Authority. So what could you really kind of give us some history or insight for some newbies like myself to the community?
Absolutely. So my name is Rhonda Troe. I'm the Public Relations Manager for the River Authority, and I'm part of the dam people. I don't know that I would call myself a ninja, but I'm one of the dam people. So anyway, we actually, the San Jacinto River Authority was formed by an act of the Texas legislature back in 1937. And so our main mission, vision is to protect the resources of the San Jacinto River Basin.
Oh.
We actually look out probably 40 to 50 years and do a lot of water planning. So a lot of people look at Lake Conroe as a recreational. I mean, obviously, that's one of the biggest things that the attraction to Montgomery County, to Conroe, is Lake Conroe.
Sure.
It's the fishing and the swimming and the boating. But it was actually built as a water supply reservoir. A lot of people don't realize that. So we're not a constant level lake, and it was built for the purpose of supplying water in the event that we would need it, which is exactly where we are now. So that's a huge part of what we do. So we actually have 4 different operating divisions. So our oldest division is our Highlands Division. Again, a lot of people don't even realize that
Yeah.
exists. So the Highlands Division is the oldest one. It's been there almost 80 years.
Wow.
And that division's main purpose is to supply raw water to the industrial. So a lot of the industrial
okay.
plants use that water for cooling, for their cooling towers. And then we have our Woodlands Division, and again, people don't realize that. So we own and operate all of the wells in the woodlands. So we do the wastewater treatment, and then we supply water.
Wow.
So that's another division.
I had no idea.
We've
yeah.
done that since 1975.
My goodness. So since really the beginning of that community.
Yes, George Mitchell actually contacted the River Authority and decided that this was a good plan. And so we took over the wells, and we work with the med districts. And
That is so cool. And you said there's even more, right? So you've got Lake Conroe, New Highlands, Woodlands, and then what's the other one?
And then our latest and greatest is our GRP. So it's our groundwater reduction program. So at the other end of the dam, we have a plant. So we actually are using water from Lake Conroe as drinking water. So we're supplying water to the woodlands. We're supplying water to Conroe. We have over 80 participants in that GRP. That particular division was formed just a couple of years ago. The Lone Star Groundwater Conservation District is the regulator for this area. So obviously Montgomery County has grown tremendously. You know, Conroe is the fastest
Yes.
growing city in the nation.
I know.
Montgomery
yeah.
County has been the fastest growing, I think we're number 7 in the nation as a county. So right now the demographics are showing that by 2040 that we will have close to 1 million people in our area.
Wow.
Wow. You know, it just, and that's a bittersweet. I love it. Believe me, I
Right.
love growth and I love goodness, but I wanted small town country. And when I
I
came out here
know.
and things started booming, I loved all this land. And then now everybody's popping up other stuff. I just hope I get more land, not the cookie cutter. You know, of course. Listen, see, I go on my tangents. I'm like, I know, but wow. See, I had no idea. When I think of San Jacinto River Authority, it's just something where I thought, first of all, the dam
lake.
protectors, yeah, and the lake. But then I didn't realize how expansive that really you're kind of watching and protecting all of us throughout that community. Montgomery County is so large, and I mean, it just is going to continue to grow, I'm sure.
It is, and one of the biggest things when the developers call the chamber or they call the economic development groups and they are looking to move to this area, they want to move their company, they want to move their families. One of the first question they ask, do you have enough water?
Really?
And so that's what we do. We plan for the future. We plan 40 years out to make sure that there's going to be water supply. Because, you have to think of it, I tell people, think of it like a glass of water. So all these people that are moving into the area and everybody's putting in water wells all over the county, and, it's like a glass of water. You put a straw in it, and the more straws that go in it, the faster the water's going to come out. So we're really trying to protect our aquifers. Make sure that there's enough water for our grandchildren, our great-grandchildren, our great-great-grandchildren. And that's just a huge part of what we do. And it's very important, and people don't realize that.
Well, we take it for granted, it's because when you turn on the faucet, when you do, I mean, all these elements that, again, these are luxuries that we take for granted as Americans, but particularly in our area, just because we have that lake right there. So it just seems like there's an abundance of everything, but in the background, you've got these dam ninjas that are ensuring that they're DAM.
Yeah. Careful.
Hashtag damn ninjas is going to be
right.
trending.
That's right.
But I mean, it's just amazing to me that, when you really sit down and think about it, these are some of the staples that we take for granted. And, we've got these silent heroes in the background making sure that everything's regulated, everything's okay, and that everything's safe.
That's
that
right.
you can drink out of the tap water without having to worry, because I think we again, take it all for granted. And then all of a sudden, I know in Houston, I've had a notice before about boil water and all this, and it's like,
Right.
whoa, and you just get alarmed and you feel like, oh, just like when a storm hits and you don't have those staples, electricity, food, and everything, things get a little crazy. So, yeah, that being said, I am so excited that y'all really, because I need to know more about the lake too, but really about Lake Conroe itself, like how much really on the dam activity, just keeping an eye on it. Is it something you do on a weekly basis, or how frequent? I mean, I'm 101 question, but just curious.
Well, like the Lake Conroe division, one of the 4 divisions that you talk about is the one I'm responsible for, and operations and maintenance is our primary function. We do have other functions that I can talk about if we have time, from water quality to other stuff. But our main thing is to make sure that the structural integrity of that dam maintains. If you don't want the dam to break, flood Conroe, right?
Yeah.
So we're constantly, every day, every minute of every day, we're keeping our eye on it. We're maintaining different elements of it, from greasing things to mowing things to packing things to whatever. It's just continual maintenance on it. And then of course, when you know that I don't show up for church or whatever, it's because the lake's rising, and when the lake's rising, you got to make sure that you're letting it out in such a fashion that it's coming out in the right rate.
Absolutely.
You're not in any way, shape, or form jeopardizing the structural integrity of the dam itself. So that's kind of like what we do. So that's why you're just watching it. You stay up all night and you make changes as you need to.
Well, yeah, and I mean, a lot of that's over my head, Brett. I'm not going to lie, because I'm thinking, okay, you're just out there making sure. But I know that there are so many complex elements to it that you and the team just streamline, so you know what's going on a lot. But it's such a great thing to know, because when I know that you're out there, I'm thinking, okay, making sure that the roadways are good for me, and that's, other indicators. So when a storm's coming in, that's kind of a first indicator to not necessarily, I would say, maybe high alert, but for staying on top of it, watching all of those
Absolutely.
patterns?
We're fortunate that we're plugged into a network. So as soon as, like this last one, we had Tropical Storm Cindy that never did materialize for us. It went a little east of here, but
Yeah.
120 hours out, we're part of conference calls that are happening 3 times a day, and we're on with other emergency managers around Texas, Southeast Texas, and we're staying attuned to what's going on. We're communicating with each other, and so we're watching it from that far out, sometimes even further. And any changes that are making in the storm path or predicted wind speeds or rainfall totals or anything like that, we're staying on top of it so that we can prepare. And we have lots of tools that help us do that.
Well, and if I could say something real quick, one of the tools that I definitely want to have Brett talk a little bit about is when the rainfalls come, there's so many different areas that contribute to downstream. So could you talk a little bit about that, Brett?
Yeah. I mean, this is at our agency, or particularly at my division, whenever there's a significant rainfall event, we get a lot of phone calls from the public and web mails and things like social media inquiries and stuff like that. And one of the common, I think this is where Rhonda's leading me, I'm not sure, but one of the common misconceptions is that someone might live somewhere downstream of the dam on the West Fork of the San Jacinto River, because that's what the dam does. It dams up the West Fork of the San Jacinto River. There's an East Fork of the San Jacinto River by Cleveland.
Okay.
But we're on the West Fork, and they all lead down to Lake Houston ultimately. And somebody might have high water or be flooding or whatever, have abnormally high water on the West Fork downstream of the dam. Well, the assumption is always that's coming from Lake Conroe. Mm-hmm. Well, oftentimes it may coincide with releases from Lake Conroe, but in many instances, this was true back in '94. This was certainly true last spring during the Memorial Day events, tax day events, that the contributions from other watersheds that also lead into the West Fork downstream of the dam were the larger contributors. So, for example, we can make a release through the dam. It goes on down the West Fork, but then you have Lake Creek watershed that's uncontrolled. Just whatever falls on the ground within that watershed runs off.
Yes.
And then you go down, you have Spring Creek, you have Cypress Creek. Well, all those are contributing to the West Fork. So a lot of people don't realize that.
I had no idea.
Even in communities as far west as Magnolia, Tomball, we'll get calls that, hey, I'm having high water in my area, and you're releasing. You must be causing that.
Oh, so they coincided
exactly.
together, but it's
and
not.
oftentimes they coincide because it's rain everywhere, and
Sure,
waters
sure.
are rising. But and it's just a misconception, and it's from years and years of just people not really understanding the lay of the land, the geography.
Well, sure, and frankly, as a kid growing up, and even now, not until recently, discovering San Jacinto River Authority, learning more about it, then you realize, yes, if you think about it, I mean, let's stop and think. Someone wants to build a development. Well, you're not just going to start building. You have to think of the infrastructure under the ground first to be able to sustain and have it, right?
Okay.
So then from there, thinking of, well, there's this entirely underground infrastructure throughout our entire city that is connected in Houston to our community here in Conroe, Montgomery, and then also continues on. So there's this, I mean, it's regional, state, I imagine just nationwide. It just blows my mind to think about all of the planning, all of the research, all the engineering to ensure that there are these flowing domino effects to ensure safety.
Well, yeah.
And it's commonplace for, of course, those on the inside, but for some of the, newbie, just, kind of driving around like, hey, there's a lake. It never put two and two together until I kind of started peeling away. And now I realize it makes sense. And of course, our listeners, if you're thinking, this girl doesn't know much, you're right. That's why I have these guests on, because I want to learn, So a lot of our listeners, it's something that we take for granted again, because, we think about the water coming in, going to Lake Conroe, and that there's really multi-purpose and infrastructure under all this to make it all work. So that is really so cool. I didn't think about that.
One thing I want to mention, you're talking about, what's underground. When we did the GRP, we actually have 55 miles worth of pipeline. So that leave from Lake Conroe that go into Conroe into the woodlands. And so the construction of that was absolutely phenomenal. I mean, we had to take up a whole side of Grogan's Mill, research forest. It was a huge undertaking. And it was very successful. We did very well, came in under budget, finished earlier than what we had thought. We're very proud of all of our divisions. One thing that I did want to mention that you and I had talked about was that we recently, just back in April, we go to a water conference once a year. It's the largest water conference in the state of Texas. So you have every, utility companies, so forth, river authorities from all over the state. And we entered a best tasting drinking water contest. So last year we entered and we came in third place. This year we entered and we actually came in first place.
That's
Wow.
fantastic.
So we are actually considered, best tasting drinking water in the state of Texas. So that comes from the GRP, which is treated water from Lake Conroe.
That is
So-
amazing. And I love that. And that is such a huge, and I know you're being humble, but what an amazing achievement.
Oh, we're proud of that.
Oh my
They're doing a
goodness.
great job.
That is, I mean, to be number one in the entire state, and Texas is not small. So it's like, my goodness, this is wonderful. What a great
It is.
achievement.
Y'all need to come out to the GRP and we'll take you out there and we'll take you straight to the water spigot and you can take the water directly from the plant.
I will. Well, no,
Yeah.
that's fantastic. And that's something, too, that I love to hear just because, again, we take it for granted. But then to have that kind of thing and really, because you can check it out on your Facebook page. That's what I love, too. If you look up San Jacinto River Authority on Facebook, you'll get to see that video and the announcement. So, I mean, this is not a small achievement. This is huge. And I was so excited to see that. And it resonated with me because, of course, I grew up thinking, just get it out of the faucet. And then as time goes on, everybody's like, well, water bottle, make sure it's clean, blah, blah, blah. And now to know, you can be in this community and still enjoy the goodness without having to pay the extra price. It's just wonderful. So I love that about really the water because I need more of it. And my boy, he's a water drinker. I need to drink more water too, but my boy does all the time. So that brought me some comfort knowing that, from the spigot is just as good as always.
Well, and to put both of your minds at ease, if you want to go swimming in the lake, Brett can tell you we're one of the few
Yeah.
lakes in the state. I'll let him tell you.
No, it's just one of the things that we do in the Lake Conroe Division is we're part of something called the Clean Rivers Program. It's managed through TCEQ, the state, and an agency called the Houston Galveston Area Council. And anyway, we do regular water quality monitoring on the lake monthly, and so depending on the month, it can be more extensive than the others. But the gist of it is, every year they summarize all the water bodies in the whole region. And Lake Conroe is historically, we joke, but it's literally a term they use. They rate the quality of the water overall by the number of frogs, kind of like and we're a 5-frog lake. So
Nice.
we've got good water quality. We're fortunate that we have such an expansive forest on the north side of the lake that helps filter a lot of the runoff and things like that. So that helps with the quality of the lake. But Lake Conroe, honestly, is one of the cleanest water bodies in the region. So you
Hey,
don't.
I've seen some of the fish that come out of that lake. And I don't want it swallowing my leg.
You're terrifying.
I was about to say, the only reason I don't love to jump in is because of that. When I was a kid, you get bit by a crab and it puts this thing in your head. So I will conquer because I have to.
I'm going to take both of you out, and we're going to conquer our fear.
Yeah, we're gonna take them out on the airboat.
We're going to change this perception you guys have.
Well, no, what I love is I could just imagine Brett's going to be like, and here you go, I'll be back. Y'all get comfortable in the water, 20 minutes. And then me and Jen are like lone survivor, and we have to go toe to toe. Who's going to, no, I'm just
But we
kidding.
won't be alone. We'll be together.
That's right.
That's right.
Okay.
We'll put you in a canoe.
Hey, you guys said several things during your previous piece that made me think, and I just want to make sure I get plugs in for this. Because, a community, a metropolitan area the size of the Houston metro area, there's
Yeah.
a lot of people. And a lot of people try to cram into a small water body like Lake Conroe.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it's very congested, especially on the weekends. And so safety is of utmost.
And that's something I want
Absolutely,
to address.
absolutely.
Now, I need to, because
Especially because of recent events.
Yes.
well,
yes.
and just the season, I think in general. But yeah, I definitely want to get to that. If we could, we're going to take a quick break. But I
Sure,
want
go
y'all
for
to
it.
come back because we definitely want that safety tips, especially for the newbies and those that aren't aware, because I feel like that's where a lot of the problems,
Yes.
can occur or get overlooked. So, listeners, y'all stay tuned. We've got more of Grit and Grace with Jennifer and Merideth, as well as San Jacinto River Authority in just a moment. Thanks so much for tuning in this week, guys. Be sure to check us out every Saturday live, 8 to 9 on Conroe's FM 104.5 and 106.1. Also on irlonestar.com. But more importantly, subscribe. Let us know what you want to hear. Leave us your comments, right?
Yeah.
We want to hear from you, all right? Check us out online, too. Where can they find us online? Damn it, woman, that's what you're supposed to say, the social media. gritandgracetexas@gmail.com. Online, all our social media platforms are at Grit and Grace, Texas. Be sure to connect with us, guys.